Okay, hi guys. So I am alone again today for the second time. Aleda and I are both practicing social distancing, so unfortunately we can't film together for a while, and she has the lighting set up with her, so I'm currently using some lamps. So the right side of my face is definitely going to be darker than the left side of my face, which has a beautiful window. I could just turn and face the window though, huh? Okay, wow, that is so much better. I'm disappointed in myself for not putting that together way sooner, but I wanted to have books in the background. I still kind of do. You can see my TBR shelf. I'm having my breakfast right now, but today's video is going to be my King of Crows discussion video. I just finished King of Crows last night, and I have a lot to say. I have some notes typed up here. You see that? And we're just gonna get into it. There's gonna be a quick, non-spoilery discussion in the beginning for those of you who haven't read the book or haven't read the series. First of all, I'm very sad for you. I don't actually have a physical copy of King of Crows, and I lent the Diviners to my sister. But I do have a physical copy of Lair of Dreams, which is the second book in the Diviners series. There's a glare. For those of you who haven't read the Diviners, it is amazing. It's a series that follows a 17-year-old girl named Evie O'Neill in 1920s New York City, which is one of my favorite time periods and settings to read about. Basically, she gets sent to live with her uncle after causing some mischief with a power that she has. And her uncle owns a museum that is all about the occult and paranormal activity. And so she ends up getting wrapped up in that and a bunch of other characters with magical abilities. And a string of murders start to happen in the city, and Evie kind of gets connected to solving the crime. So it is really a paranormal mystery thriller, but also romance, and I can't even explain. It's so good. Highly recommend if you like historical stuff. I don't words. Anyway, it's a 4-book series. Very good. I think the narrator is January Lavoie, and she is incredible. I listened to the audiobooks for all 4 books, and let me just tell you, they are spooky. Like, there's parts of the story that are like really supposed to be very suspenseful, kind of gritty, and I don't know if it would have affected me the same way if I wasn't listening to the audiobook. But there were parts where, like, after I listened to the audiobook, I would have to listen to like a funny podcast or something to be able to go to sleep, because it was like pretty spooky. Especially I think the last 2 books, King of Crows and Before the Devil Breaks You, were both like, I was a little bit spooked, but they were really good. So I definitely recommend the audiobooks. The writing, it's lovely throughout the whole series. Her writing is just so poetic, and she has these little sections or chapters that are like from an omniscient like viewpoint, where she kind of just explains everything that's happening. Things, obviously you guys know what omniscient means, but it's so like lyrical and well done, and every time I'm just like amazed. Like, you get so sucked into it, and you can just see it all happening before you so clearly. I just think she's a really, really good writer. Really fast, my last point before we get into spoilers is, was it a good conclusion to the series? I would say overall, yes. There were some elements that I thought were a little bit predictable, or some characters who I wasn't fully satisfied with their ending, but I think overall it was a good conclusion to the series. I wasn't like super disappointed. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but since I only finished it yesterday, that could change. So if you have not read King of Crows or any of the books, go read them, then come back and watch this video. You won't want to miss it, because we're gonna get into all my thoughts, and I want to hear from you guys in the comments too. So go read those books and then come back and we'll chat. But I'm about to start spoiling things. So I want to talk about plot really fast. I don't have a lot to say about this, but I did enjoy how the characters all broke off into new groupings in this book, and then came back together. I loved the reunion scene. I loved when they were all apart, how that kind of strengthened bonds that weren't as strong for me before. It really made the whole group dynamic a lot more believable to me, to see these new pairings, these new friendships kind of grow and develop. I really enjoyed the circus and the haymakers and the whole flood scene with the Red Cross and everything. Or not scene, like section. I just really thought that each of those were such a unique piece of like history or culture, and I loved getting to see just like new settings outside of New York since they were traveling in this book. And I really enjoyed the new group pairings that we got. Like, I loved Jericho and Ling together. I thought that was super cute. The characters, that's really the main reason that I'm here. This is an ensemble story, so there's a whole cast of characters, and I think that's one of Libba Bray's strengths, is writing all of these characters and making them all so distinct and giving them each a unique backstory and just really like pouring so much into these characters. I love them all. So I'm gonna start off with Sarah Beth, because I feel like she was more plot than she was character, if that makes sense. I just didn't find it believable that they wouldn't have questioned her more. Like, obviously Isaiah wouldn't have questioned her because he was so desperate for a friend, and, you know, he's 10. I just found it really predictable that she was working for the King of Crows the whole time. Like, I thought that was kind of obvious, and I know that everybody was distracted and had a lot going on, and that they had reason to trust her because of Isaiah's visions, but I just it didn't make sense to me that they wouldn't have questioned her sooner. Like, Evie didn't really question her until it was too late, and I don't know, that kind of annoyed me. But I did hate Sarah Beth. I thought that she was really well done, because I strongly disliked her. She made me super uncomfortable. The way that she interacted with Isaiah was obviously disgusting. Yeah, so I mean, she was a good character, but I think she could have been better. Moving on into the rest of the characters, I'm going to kind of go in order of who I have the least to say about to who I have the most to say about. So I'm going to start with Sam and Henry. I'm kind of grouping them together because neither of them really got a lot of attention in this book, which I understand she can't give all however many characters, like 10 of them, attention in each book to the same level, because it would just be too much. But I just missed them because they were some of my favorites, especially Henry. I just feel like, I don't know, they just were kind of missing from the story for me. Also, Ling, I never really felt a strong connection to Ling. I'll just be honest and say it. Her personality just isn't one that I like jive with. But she also didn't get a ton in this book, I feel like. Then we'll talk about Theta. I love Theta. She's just my queen, and I'm so proud of her in this book for how she finally like claims her power and, you know, frees Miss Addie and stands up to Roy and really just like becomes, like, she just steps into herself in this book, and I was really proud of her. So who else? Bill. So Bill dies. I wasn't that sad about him dying, but I don't think it was because like I didn't care about Bill. It was for me that like that felt right. I kind of felt like he had to die in a way to like settle his score, if that makes sense, and just to make things right. And I really liked that he went out doing what he did. Mabel was in this book. It was really, really sad, and she didn't deserve any of what she got. I really don't have anything to say about Mabel either. Okay, so as I said with Isaiah, he's 10, so it's understandable the way that he acts, but at the same time I was very frustrated with him, and I just wish that he would have said something to his brother more than just, you treat me like a baby. Like, I wish he actually would have said to him, like, listen, this is what's going on in my life. This is why I'm upset that you treat me like a baby. Like, if he just would have given more details, I feel like things could have been worked out, but he's 10. And I like that Isaiah was the one to destroy the King of Crows in the end. I think I just wish he had gotten more of a resolution with Memphis, because clearly he was really not happy with how Memphis was treating him, like, all throughout the series, and they never really got to talk about it or have I don't know, there was just no conclusion to that whole storyline. And for me, that explained a lot of what happened. Like, if Memphis and Isaiah had been kind of on better terms, they might not have had what happened with Sarah Beth happen. Isaiah might not have ever had to die and then come back and everything. I know it ended up being for the best because he was the one who killed the King of Crows, but I just feel like their relationship pushed the story forward so much, and then we never actually got a resolution at the end. It was just kind of like, it almost seemed like it was going to continue how it had been continuing. So I wasn't super satisfied with that. I really wasn't satisfied with Memphis's ending in general. I think I just wanted him to have a more active conclusion and kind of go forward and try to change the things that he wasn't satisfied with, because that's what he said he was going to do all throughout the story. But then at the end, he was kind of just like, oh, well, I'm just going to bring healing through my words, and that's my power. And I get it. I get why, that's what happened, and I understand it. I think it just wasn't for me. I think I wanted him to have a little bit more explanation or, like, activism kind of involved. Not that like words can't be activism, but I don't know. I think I just wasn't super satisfied there. And somebody who I do have a lot to say about is Evie. I love seeing how she grew throughout the series. I've always really believed in Evie. I just thought she was so real and well fleshed out, and there were some things that kind of bothered me about her in this book, which would be like, I don't think her feelings for Jericho were well resolved at all, which I'll get into when I talk about Jericho. He's going to be the last character I talk about, because boy, do I have things to say about Jericho. But in the end, she was just kind of fine letting Jericho make the decision he makes and marrying Sam. Like, she was just fine with it all of a sudden, but her feelings had never been resolved. I just found that super rushed and, like, brushed over. It didn't make sense to me or seem very Evie-like, because she is so driven and, like, focused on one thing, and she just kind of let that go all of a sudden, just brushed over it. We did see that like drivenness with her when in her obsession with Mabel in this book, and the way that she, clings to Theta, and I really loved those elements. I loved seeing her want a resolution for Mabel and really trying to grieve and heal and forming a deeper bond with Theta and helping Theta work through all of her issues with her power and her fear. And I just love the female friendship in this story, because I feel like with her and Theta, there's never any jealousness or competition. They're just, like, fully supportive of each other, even when, like, Theta knows that Mabel is Evie's best friend for a while, and then she doesn't care. She still just wants to be friends with her. Like, they're just such good friends. I really love that. I also really enjoyed how we got to see that Ling kind of acknowledged her own issues towards Evie, and how a lot of them were just because Evie was a girl and she judged her differently for that. And I thought it was interesting to see that kind of explored, and how she had to come to terms with that and kind of take it easy on Evie and realize that a lot of those judgments were probably internalized sexism that she has just been, like, holding against herself. I also really liked Evie's idea with the radio show. I feel like this was definitely a smaller part of the story, but it was one of my favorites. How she had Memphis come and share his poems on air, and then she would, like, put together little skits for all of the diviners to do together. I just thought that was so creative and adorable. Just my little flopper princess. I love her. And then Jericho. So Jericho is, like, the one true loss in this series. For me anyway. Obviously we lose Uncle Will, and he's a ghost in this book, and a bunch of characters die. But for me, Jericho was, like, the one that hit the hardest. I didn't cry, I didn't really feel emotional, but it definitely made me think a lot, and I think I just wasn't happy with it. It didn't feel right to me. I think that, like, his relationship with Lupe felt really rushed. And that kind of, to me, was the first signal that something was going to happen to him, because I was realizing, like, okay, the author is really trying to tie up these loose ends, trying to just all of a sudden make him be over Evie and moving on way too fast. And I could tell that, like, she was going to throw him away. He honestly felt like a throwaway character to me at the end, and I don't think he deserved that. I'm so sad that he's just, like, trapped in the land of the dead forever, and really all we got out of that was, like, his monologue of him being like, oh, well, I am a human after all. Like, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. I wanted more of a resolution than just him, like, coming to terms with something. I think I wanted the other characters to be more involved in his story, and he just felt very disconnected and just thrown away at the end. Really all that happens is that there's a final scene in the diner where all the diviners are together, and Evie asks Ling, did you talk to Lupe? And Ling says, yeah. And that's, like, it. That's, like, all that Jericho gets. And I'm like, I don't know, something just felt so wrong there to me. I also didn't really understand what was happening with Sergeant Leonard. I know there were like some ghosts who were coming back and were good still, like Uncle Will and Sergeant Leonard, and was there anybody else? I don't know. I just didn't really get it for me. It didn't really click. Jericho just felt super disconnected to me in this book, and I was really sad about that because Jericho was one of my favorite characters. And even based on the beginning of the book, you would have thought he would play such a different role than he did. And not that he didn't play a big role, because he was kind of the one who like sacrificed himself in the end, but I don't know. Something felt off. Let me know if you feel the same about that, because I don't know, for me that's a lot of the reason why I docked a star and why I just lowered my rating in general. Also, that ending scene in the diner kind of made me wonder about if there's going to be a sequel, because first of all, that section was called epilogue/prelogue. So I know it could just be meaning like prelogue, like symbolic, like prelogue to the rest of their lives. But could it also be a prelogue to like a new book? I don't know. Has this actually been announced and I'm just like out of the loop? That's very possible. Yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on King of Crows. Let me know what you think, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, what you have to say about Jericho specifically, all the characters, all the plot. Did you think that the way that Isaiah destroyed the King of Crows was realistic? That's something I forgot to mention. All he had to do was say nothing and then like unravel it. I don't know. There was just a lot of things that kind of were like a little bit off for me in this book. So if you want to talk about any of them, I know I definitely did not touch on everything because, you know, this was a pretty complicated plot. Comment in the comments for me. I have nothing to do while I'm in quarantine, so like lay it all out there. Let's discuss. Also, this is my first ever discussion video, so let me know how I did, if there's something that I missed, or if you have any tips for me. And I will see you guys actually, I won't see you guys in the next video. Later, we'll see you guys in the next video. But please do come and watch. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for the next one. I'll see you soon. Bye.